All right. Now that we have went ahead and labeled all the different layers of life on the planet, let's talk about what it takes to keep those living things alive. And so that's what section 2 in chapter 3 is about. And so we go back to this term of natural capital here at the top. If you remember natural capital, right? It's all of those ecological services and resources that the earth provides us. And so within the biosphere, which we talked about earlier, that consists of several different layers. And here are the major pieces of that. There's air, water, soil, and the minerals, which a lot of people don't put in there, but keep in mind you need minerals to live, and so as a result they're an essential part of the living sphere of the earth. And then life itself, all the organisms on the planet. And so that means that the biosphere can consist of all of this different stuff from the soil into the atmosphere, and a lot of people don't always take all that into consideration, but it is all essential components of the biosphere. So the biosphere by definition is all living things, all of the life on earth right here, all the life on the planet is the biosphere. Other spheres that are important that you need to know that we'll work on as we go through the class, the atmosphere. So we know that's the air above us, but you might not know these two terms. So the atmosphere is made of all kinds of different layers, exosphere and mesosphere and ionosphere and all of those. But these two are the most important for you guys to know for this class. The troposphere, this one right here, is the lowest level. It goes from the ground up. And so that one is where most all of the atmospheric gases exist. It's where weather takes place. It's where we live. It's where all the living creatures like birds and stuff fly. So it's the main one that we interact with all the time. The stratosphere is just above that. Inside the stratosphere is the ozone layer, and the ozone layer protects us from UV radiation. And so it's really important that we have that. Without that UV protection from the ozone layer, we would have some serious problems on the planet, as in life would not exist here most likely without that particular layer. The very bottom of this is where commercial jets fly. The hydrosphere makes up of all the water, and when we talk about water, we have to talk about the liquid, the ice, and the water vapor in the atmosphere. And then there's the geosphere, which is made up of the rocks and stuff down inside the earth. So the lithosphere is the outside layer of that, which is the crusty shell, basically. And the asthenosphere is the melty part inside of that. And so we need to be aware of those pieces as we move forward here. Other factors that affect life on the planet, one is that there's this energy flow that happens, and it's a one-way energy flow. Keep in mind the law of thermodynamics as we move here, but light comes in from the sun. As it comes in from the sun, it gets used by plants. It gets used by animals. It gets used by all the things that are on the planet. And as it uses that energy, it releases it as heat into the environment, and that heat is lost. It's lost into the environment, it's lost into the earth around us, it's lost back into space. And so it's a one-way flow, starting with the sun and then working its way into heat or wasted energy at the end. That's the second law of thermodynamics, if you remember that the quality of energy always goes down. So the vast majority of it's lost to heat. Some of it's used to basically run the planet. It's used to it's used in organisms to have them exist and all that kind of stuff, but constantly wears away. But that energy is an important factor in life on the planet, and we need it, of course. The second one is nutrients and cycling of those nutrients and materials, and there's cycles that take care of that. The carbon cycle basically recycles carbon so it can be used over and over and over again. The phosphorus cycle, the nitrogen cycle, the water cycle, and the oxygen cycle all do this. They all take material, turn it into different forms so that it can constantly be reused. And it follows the law of conservation of matter. Matter cannot be created or destroyed, only changed in form. And so it changes it in form constantly. But we have a set amount of matter on this planet that we just keep using over and over again. We don't have a set amount of energy. We constantly use it and lose it. The last one then, and a lot of people don't think about this, but it's important for life, is gravity. Your whole body is based on gravity. Which direction blood pumps and how much it can pump and how fast it pumps, and your skeletal structure is designed to overcome or hold up your body in the gravitational field we're in. So gravity is a really important thing, and it's essential for how body systems function and life on the planet functions, from the water cycle to xylem and phloem in trees. And so here's that flow of energy we were talking about. How the sun's radiation comes in, some of it bounces right off, some of it gets absorbed in the ozone layer, some of it eventually makes it down into or in through the atmosphere and onto Earth down here, and it gets absorbed by the Earth and creates heat, heats up the Earth, can get absorbed by plants and used by them and starts working its way through the food chains and food webs. Some of that heat then gets re-radiated and lost to space, and some of it gets trapped inside the Earth because of the greenhouse effect that keeps the Earth warm. And the greenhouse effect sometimes you hear is a bad thing, but it's an essential thing to keep the Earth at a pretty steady temperature. So the greenhouse effect is an important and necessary part of life on the planet. Life exists in a lot of different places. This term right here is important for you to know, biomes. So biomes are major classified regions of ecosystems, basically, that have trends behind them. And you've looked all these up at some point in time, I'm sure. The deserts are bios, pine forests, grasslands, deciduous forests, and then like shrublands and chaparrals are examples. And then we also have aquatic zones that things live in, and we'll go into those in more detail as we go through the class as well. But these are specific regions that life happens on Earth. Biodiversity is different there, solar energy is different there, the amount of recycling and the rate of recycling of matter is different in all of those locations, and it results in the different diversity of the planet. So that's the end of section 2. Let's see you in a bit.